CCI Uppercut 22 long rifle. This is some new ammunition by CCI, and what makes it different is that it's a 22 long rifle and it is in a jacketed hollow point bullet. A lot of people might not understand what that means because they've seen hollow point bullets in 22 before, and essentially 22 hollow points have always been either pure lead or copper washed, which is less of a copper coating than even a plating, as where this is truly a jacketed hollow point bullet. And the reason why 22 long rifle has always been made that way is because it's such a low powered cartridge. It's a heeled bullet, which means that it kind of like a tooth, it gets smaller and goes in the case rather than the case going around the bullet. So it is kind of difficult in a way to get a jacketed hollow point bullet to work very well, because with such low power you're going to have a lot of bore drag going on. So it'll be interesting for me to see what kind of performance we get under those circumstances. And to compare it to something more traditional, I brought out our CCI Stinger. And the reason why is because our Uppercut is 32 grain, our Stinger is 32 grain. So these are going to be loaded pretty much to their potential. That's how a lot of cartridges are loaded. They're going to load it as best they can to get as much power they can. So I brought out two different guns to compare these, and there's a reason why. I brought out my TX22. That's going to be my main gun for testing this. And the reason why I'm bringing out a revolver, I want to show something first, though. If we actually look at where these chambers line up, I'll try to go this way. The back of the chamber here and the back of the cylinder, where those cartridges are going to line up, the base of the cartridges, you'll see we have almost exactly the same barrel travel. And my thinking is that if these are actually truly jacketed and they have more friction going on, our revolver might actually do a better job for velocity, because this is chambered in 22 Magnum. And if you didn't know, a 22 long rifle is anywhere between 222 and 223, .222, 223 diameter. A 22 Magnum is chambered in 224 bore diameter. And this is a conversion. And what I mean by that is this is not a 22 Magnum revolver, but it is a 22 Magnum long rifle conversion. So I do have the 22 long rifle cylinder on there, but my point is that our actual bore diameter will be a little bit bigger, and that might provide better performance for this jacketed bullet. I'm not sure though. So we're going to go through the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get with both of these ammunitions through both of those guns. Then I'm going to do my 10% clear ballistic test. I'm going to do my traditional test, but then I'm also going to do the windshield test. And the reason why is because jacketed bullets, I want to see how those perform, because one of the downfalls to 22 long rifle is that it doesn't have a jacket usually. It's generally just copper washed. When you hit something hard, it's going to deform very easily. And I want to see if we hit our windshield, if it deforms less than that CCI Stinger. And then I'm going to shoot at my steel to see what kind of practical accuracy I can get with these. So let's get started with this test. All right, first up I'm going to test our CCI Stinger through the auto and then through the revolver. By the way, it's the TX22 with a 4.1 inch barrel, and the Heritage bar keep with a 2.68 inch barrel. The ammunition actually says it's optimized for barrels 2.5 inches to 4 inches, so I'm doing 2.68 to 4.1, pretty close to what they say it's optimized for. So I'm going to see what we get for velocity and accuracy with our CCI Stinger and our TX22 here. Both these are 32 grains. Well, something's going on there where I'm not getting any chronograph reads. Let me try the revolver here. Huh. I'm just going to get a lot closer here. 1144. 1158. So I'm going to take those. They're all pretty consistent. I'm going to see if I can get a read with our revolver here. CCI Stinger. 1040. 1038. Got one more. I don't like making videos about my equipment, and I'm telling you, I've seen other people have this issue too, but I've ran this thing 6 months without hardly any errors, so it's just a random today. So let me put in the uppercuts, see if we can get some velocity reads with those. All right, CCI Uppercut. Let's see if I can get any reads through our 22 long rifle here. 1020. 949, 1021, 1062, 1014. So I figured out what the issue is here. It's that these bullets are so small that I'm used to chronographing center fire, so they have to be a lot closer to the sensors. So we're looking at here, same bullet weight, we're right around 1,000 feet per second versus well over 1,100 with the Stinger. So there's definitely a velocity drop there. Now I'm wondering though, I'm thinking that's caused by bore drag. If we have a bigger bore, will this be higher than those about 1,000 feet per second reads? So I'm gonna run the uppercut through our revolver here. Nope, 803, 785, 867, 839, 826, 794. So my theory was completely wrong. This did not get an increase in velocity with those. In fact, it's probably just we're losing some gas with these and they're not getting enough velocity. So no more of this for the test. We're going to run the test with the TX22 only because that gave us our higher velocities, our more realistic velocities. So let's hit our Ballistics gel block and see how the Stinger and the uppercut compare. All right, I'm going to go on plain clear ballistics with the Stinger and then with the uppercut. Plain clear ballistics, this is our best potential. It's going to give us our best potential to expand without hollow point getting clogged with denim, and best potential for penetration. So first up, we're going to start with our CCI Stinger. See how this does. All right, now I'm going to put in a round here of our CCI Uppercut. It's supposed to be a really good round. See how this does. All right, let's go take a look. All right, so there are some differences there. This is kind of surprising. Even with less velocity, you know, it's like the uppercut performed better. Now with our plain clear ballistics gel here, what we got with our Stinger is we did not get any expansion or hardly any energy dump, and we went to about 12 3/4 to 13 inches of penetration. Sometimes when I put my finger here, the parallax makes it look like I'm not lining my finger up because these ends are stretching out just a little bit, but I am lining them up correctly. Now with our uppercut, we got energy dump in the first 3 inches, which would indicate some expansion going on. Here's this side of it. Here's our uppercut and our Stinger. So our uppercut had some energy dump going on, and it did a little more damage, but it only penetrated to about 10.5 inches, which that's totally fine if you're making a front-on shot. The only time that this isn't gonna make that 10.5 inches is if you made a side shot and it went through the arm and into the body without hitting ribs, and then it might not hit something vital, but that's generally enough on a front-on shot. So I would say, looking at this, I would say our uppercut did a little bit better, even though the penetration wasn't as good, because it's providing a little more damage going on. So let me put on our denim, put on our MDF, see how they compare that way. All right, 4 layers of denim, 3 inches of clear ballistics, 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard to represent ribs or sternum. That's our real world simulation. CCI Stinger. Let's see what this does. All right, let me hit that here with our uppercut. Go take a look. All right, so this is some interesting performance. Our Stinger curved down, both of them curved down, and our Stinger hit the bottom of the shelf here. Bullets just kind of laying down there. I'm going to leave it at that because I don't think it would realistically penetrate any further than that, you know, just based on the power levels. So let's take a look at this MDF here. And our Stinger, It's actually starting to tumble. Our uppercut, not so much. So I actually like that. So what we got here with our stingers, we got about just shy of 12 inches. With our uppercut, what I'm seeing here is it looks like it went through the MDF, potentially tumbled, I'm not sure. Either way, it provided a little more damage even though it didn't expand. And I wasn't really expecting it to expand, but we got, again, just shy of 12 inches, we're about 11 3/4. So when we go through more of our real world simulation with denim and way, you know, both these perform similarly, but overall, you know, that the uppercut has a little more damage. So I would say it's pretty impressive. Now, let me put up our windshield. That's sometimes worth, you know, that's one of the reasons why rimfire is not used by law enforcement. I mean, there's other reasons, but down the list, that's one of them, because the bullets tend to deform way too much with just plain copper wash bullets. We'll see if the uppercut performs any better. All right, our windshield test. I'm going to go right in the center of this block. We're going to go through the windshield, then 4 layers of denim, then 3 inches of clear ballistics, a 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard. First up, we have our CCI Stinger. Let's see what this will do. Let's try the uppercut now. A little bit above that. The glass impacted a little different. Let's go take a look at that. So, even though in theory our uppercut should have done better, in reality it didn't. Let me move this glass. Because our uppercut stopped against the MDF. Is where our stinger here on the bottom went right through it, and our uppercut just left a dent there. So our uppercut, even though it's copper jacketed, it just flattened right down. And we got the same effect with our stinger, but because there was more velocity and power, it was able to go deeper. So what we got here is a penetration of 4.5 inches with our stinger. The uppercut, we hit about 3 inches. So I would say that this is not ideal. Neither of these are ideal through a hard barrier. There's just not enough power there. You know, you could get the best designs in the world, and you know, it's not going to matter if you don't got the power. So not so good with that. So let me shoot at my steel. We'll take a close-up look at all these, and then I'm going to shoot at my steel, see what kind of practical shootability I can get with these. All right, so taking a close-up look at these bullets. These two are from our plain gel, our CCI Stinger right here. Really no change to that bullet through our plain gel. This is where the CCI Uppercut shines. You know, it expanded really good. Not perfectly uniform expansion, but it did expand quite well. And when we go through our medium density fiberboard, things changed a little bit here. We got the classic bending going on with our CCI Stinger, where that washed bullet, you know, you can see how quickly it deforms just on a layer of medium density fiberboard alone versus plain gel. It's all bent up, and we saw a little bit of tumbling effect going through the MDF even. Now when we look at our uppercut here through our medium density fiberboard, it performed a lot more like a real bullet does. It bent a little on the nose, more or less from trying to expand, but other than that, it stayed together. It's very hard. Looks like a true jacket going on. So we did get a true jacket effect, because through MDF, you know, big difference here between a mangled bullet here versus this. So if you're talking about hitting a rib or something in a body, this would definitely do a little bit better. And you know, you might go a little deeper with something like this. However, the energy was lower, so it's kind of like for something like this to be more effective to the degree that I think they're looking for, you really kind of have to have it at the same velocity as this. When you lower the velocity, well, then you're also going to take away from the penetration, even if this can bust through a little bit better. Now going through our auto glass, there's not a big difference between the two of these here. The only real difference is with our uppercut over here, there's a little side of this pedal here that's pushed out, and our stinger is just mangled. Both of them are mangled though. Not a big difference there. And again, just like, you know, this performed about like this, even though it stayed together through our MDF, because there's less energy, it didn't penetrate well. So in theory, this is a good design, but I'm going to stick with just general power here, and I'm going to say the stinger is a little bit better for me. So that's a close-up look at those bullets. All right, I'm about 12 yards from the target. I'm going to see what kind of practical shootability I can get with these, just rapid fire. So CCI Stinger, we'll see how these compare. So those shot pretty good. They really came back down on target right to the center there. CCI Uppercut, we'll see how these compare. I'd say pretty comparable. It's almost like the Stinger had a little more recoil, but it was almost like more predictable recoil to what I'm used to. So it's like I had the right timing. As with the Uppercut, it's almost like they had slightly less recoil, but maybe slightly more muzzle rise. So my timing was just a little bit off doing that, but both shot pretty good. So let me back it up with these. All right, 75 yards just for fun. I do have a lot of fun with stuff like this. So CCI Stinger, I want to see if I can make any hits with these. The problem with these is it's hard to see where they're hitting. I think the first shot I was probably below the target because I started aiming at the shoulder area of that target and started to make impact. So here's our Uppercut. See if these shoot the same. All right, those shoot pretty good. Those shoot so good, why not back up to 100 yards, see if I make any hits from 100. All right, 100 yards from the target. CCI Stingers, I only have a few of these left. So let's see if I can hit with their Stingers from 100 yards. It's gonna be hard to hear where they hit. All right, so that became a serious challenge for more reasons than one. Part of it is because I'm having a hard time seeing double vision today, so I actually had to line up my sights on the head of that target and then lift my target or my sight above the target and blindly shoot. So, all right, CCI Uppercut. These should drop more, but yet they're still fast enough. I think they'll leave the barrel without any jolting up. So we're probably just dealing with drops. So I'm going to aim at the head of that target. All right, so I was not quite as accurate with those, and I think it's just trying to figure out where they hit, because I thought they were hitting low and then I saw them shooting high. And I really think what it is there's just not enough velocity on these to stay consistent at that distance, where I think the Stinger, because they're reaching out a lot further, and by the time they're going out that distance, they're a lot faster, so they're less likely to kind of catch the wind kind of in a weird drift and fly off somewhere. That's just my speculation on why that is. So looking at both of these here, you know, we're really reviewing the Uppercut, but the best way to review the Uppercut is to compare it to something that's typically known as the best self-defense 22 long rifle cartridge up until this point. I know there's Federal Punch, that's relatively new, but for decades it was the CCI Stinger. That's what you got to use. So same bullet weights, and what we can see here is that the Uppercut's not a bad round of ammunition. However, the advantages that it might have just don't seem to be there. You know, I genuinely tried to shoot the best I could at 12 yards to keep those center, and it just seemed like the Stinger did a little bit better. When we went into our plain gel shot, even though the Uppercut did more damage and got bigger expansion, our Stinger actually penetrated to the correct depth, so it's kind of a wash, a copper wash, if you will, between the two of those in our plain gel shot. With our more real-world simulation, though, I would say that even though the penetration was the same, our Uppercut did a little bit better. But when we look at our barrier and our auto glass here, the Uppercut, you know, the advantages to having that copper, that really is one of the main advantages to having that copper jacket, is it'll go through hard things a little bit better. I'm just not seeing it because there's not enough power there. So comparing it to the Stinger, I don't think the Uppercut is better. I don't necessarily think it's worse either. I think it's pretty gimmicky, to be honest. It does okay, but I would pick the Stinger, honestly, if I had to pick between the two of these, because it's easier to find, it's been around forever, and it just shoots a little easier for me. So that's what you get today between the Uppercut and the Stinger. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.